Hi, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Genesis Client Services webinar. We're really glad to have you here. My name is Noelle. I'm a counselor at Genesis. And then I also have Victoria here today. She'll be helping out with our coping skill portion at the end.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Victoria.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to have you here. And so just a reminder, these presentations are for educational purposes, and please consider your own situation and safety concerns before putting into practice any of the ideas talked about today. Additionally, we always want to talk about safety with our webinars, so please be sure to watch this in a safe place where only safe people can hear it. Using headphones can also help ensure that no one else can hear what you're watching. After you finish watching this today, or if you're watching this on YouTube after we post it, please remember to clear your browser history if there's somebody that monitors your phone or your computer. And if you do need to leave the Zoom webinar quickly today, just remember that you'll need to click end a couple of times and then close out the Zoom page. All right, and then Zoom webinar confidentiality. So please do not use the chat feature on Zoom. We post these videos on YouTube, so if you do use the chat feature, your name and your comment will be seen by anyone watching the live video and the video recording on YouTube. And then if you leave any comments on the YouTube video, your name and your comment can also be seen by everyone else who watches the video. So just keep that in mind. And then Genesis webinar questions. So we just want to let you know that we don't monitor or respond to any comments or questions that are left on the YouTube video recordings. Please contact us directly if you do need help, and we're going to list that information. So you can contact both me and Victoria directly if you have any questions about this webinar. So below is Victoria's email and phone number, as well as my email and phone number. So you can screenshot that or write that down so you have that information. And then crisis and support. If you are in crisis or need help with emergency safety planning, or you're looking for emergency shelter due to domestic violence, please call our 24-hour hotline. That number is 214-946-4357. And then if you would like to sign up for counseling at Genesis, or you want to talk to a counselor about your situation, please call our counseling line. That number is 214-389-7700. And then just a few other numbers that we wanted to share. So our hotline number, we just mentioned that one. That's the first one listed. And then the National Domestic Violence Hotline, that's 800-799-7233. They also have a chat feature. So if it's not safe for you to be talking on the phone, that's a great option to use. I know sometimes it's disabled, but it should be working. That's at thehotline.org. And then the National Suicide Hotline is another resource if you are having suicidal thoughts. That's 800-273-8255. Okay, so today in our webinar, we're going to cover support systems. So this can be a topic that covers a lot of different things, and we're just going to touch on a few different ideas about creating a healthy support system, and just ideas of growing your support system, and even just kind of evaluating what your support system is like. We recognize that this topic can bring up a lot of emotions, right? We don't all have all of the support systems in place that we'd like to have, or due to our situation with an abusive partner, we may have lost some of our support systems or may not be able to access them. And so we do recognize that as we talk about this, it could bring up feelings of sadness over that or loneliness. And we hope that this can be a supportive webinar that can maybe help at least identify where you're at, and maybe give some ideas of more places that could help offer support, or just more ways to think about a support system. So we're gonna jump in, and I also wanted to add too that we also acknowledge that right now we are in the middle of a global pandemic, COVID-19, and that has impacted a lot of our support systems, right? We may not be able to see family or friends as often or as easily as we used to, and some of our other support systems, such as maybe church or agencies that you used to go to, may not be open right now. And so as you're watching this, we also, again, we're all experiencing that, and we want to help just kind of maybe ease that burden and recognize that there are still ways to get support even in this difficult time. So we'll just start first. Why talk about support systems, right? We know there's a lot of benefits. So we want to address the importance of a support system. First off, we want to point out, we know that abuse from an intimate partner tends to almost always be isolating, right? Whether that's directly from that partner isolating her by not allowing her to go places or to see family and friends, or if it's from the fact of feeling like she's alone in experiencing this, or there's nobody else that is going through similar things. So having that support system can help be a protective factor with all of that. We also know that based on research, having a support system increases anxiety and feelings of security. Again, recognizing how important safety is, and working with those that we work with at Genesis, having that increased feeling of safety, having more people to be able to rely on is really important. We also know that a support system can decrease symptoms such as loneliness, depression, anxiety, and on the flip side, it can increase our mental and physical well-being. A support system is also important in the healing and recovery process. It's a difficult process, right, to go through healing and recovery, and having those supports, whether that's from a therapist, a family member, a friend, is really important in healing and being able to process and cope with everything that you may have experienced. Support systems have also been found to help us have greater resilience to stress, and they help improve our self-esteem. So there's lots of benefits, and that's why we wanted to address this topic. We feel like it's important. Additionally, there's different types of support, and I recognize it's a little cut off with our faces, so I'll read through them all. But there's a few different types. So as you're thinking of your support system, we want you to be kind of thinking about, okay, what are like the different pieces of it? Because it's not all just about, just our friends, right? There's other people that make up our support systems. So the first type, emotional support. So that's those who help manage emotions such as stress, anger, depression. This type of support might include listening to problems or showing empathy. So one thing that comes to mind, of course, would be a counselor could offer that kind of emotional support, or a therapist that you're working with. Could also be a friend or family member. There's also tangible support. So that's those that help with practical problems such as financial assistance, providing a ride to work, or childcare. Again, maybe in that situation, that's the daycare workers for your children, or it's the bus system, or somebody that has helped you make a plan for receiving financial assistance, like an advocate at Genesis or at a different agency. There's also informational support. So that's providing information that helps solve a problem or overcome a challenge. And that could be advice or information about resources. Again, that could maybe be from an advocate or somebody in the community, or a hotline that you call. And then social needs. So that's fulfillment of basic social needs such as love, belonging, and feeling content. So one thing we also wanted to address today is that supports can be healthy or unhealthy, right? Not necessarily all supports are helpful. And there's a lot of qualities that can help us distinguish between, is this support healthy for me, or is this an unhealthy support? And as you're looking at this, you may notice this is really similar to what we would talk about with a partner that's healthy or unhealthy, right? So this really applies across the board to all relationships, not just those in our support network. So considering what might make up an unhealthy relationship, this is going to be a support that's ignoring or pushing your boundaries. Maybe someone that's saying, oh, you told me that you don't want to do this, but I want you to do this, so you have to. Also be someone that's blaming you. That might look like a support that's blaming you for the abuse, saying, well, maybe you should have left, or other things like that, that are trying to put responsibility on you for abuse that is never your fault. It could also be a support that's controlling you, trying to tell you what to do, or who you can see, or what you should or shouldn't do. Dependency can also be a quality of an unhealthy support. So that'd be a support where there's too much dependency, or there's almost feeling like you're the same person and there's no like separation. Additionally, if drugs and alcohol are part of the relationship with the support network, that's often a sign of it being an unhealthy support if there's like drug or alcohol abuse going on. Additionally, a support that is keeping score or manipulative would also be unhealthy. So keeping score, right, could be them saying, well, I helped you out with your kids the other day, so you need to help me out with this today, or just kind of keeping that score throughout the relationship. It could also be unrealistic expectations of you, or somebody that wants to, again, make decisions for you, which would be similar to controlling. And then, of course, any support that's using any form of abuse, whether that's verbal, emotional, physical, or sexual. And then healthy support. So those are what we're ideally trying to fill our support network with, right? And those would be those people or places or agencies that are allowing for boundary setting, that you're able to say, this is what I'm okay with and this is what I don't want. Understanding those that are seeking to really understand you, how you feel, what you need. Communication, you're able to talk about, those needs and those wants in a way that is a two-way conversation and that promotes better understanding. They also involve friendship and caring, honesty and trust as well, whether that's in a friendship, right? A friend that you can trust and share things with and know they won't share those things with someone else. And it could be trust too, right? In an agency that if they're going to help you with something that they'll follow through with you. Also appropriate sharing and a healthy support. So someone that you're able to build a foundation with, and as you get to know more, you're sharing more. Also someone that's forgiving, right? We all make mistakes. And so someone that is willing to support you in that and can be forgiving. And then also being able to disagree and solve problems without abuse or violence. So again, we recognize with this list, right? This goes over and spills over into all of our relationships and all of the interactions that we have with those around us. So another way as well, and I'm going to move our pictures down just a little, okay, that we can think about our support network is thinking about these different levels of support that we have. So thinking about, what makes up a support network? Because sometimes we can kind of look at it in a small way and just notice those immediate people around us, and that can feel a little bit discouraging or just a little bit lonely or overwhelming. And our support network actually usually tends to be bigger than we recognize. There's usually more people there that are able to offer different types of help than we might recognize. So at the bottom of our support network, kind of on this, if you think of it as either the outside or this bottom level, and this is usually the biggest level, is all of those acquaintances and agencies and all those different groups that help meet our needs. It says here, those whom I have less personal involvement with, but who still provide assistance. So for example, that can be Genesis, right? That can be an agency where you are going and getting different services. This could be the school and there's the nurse there that is helping your kiddos when they need help when they're sick, or the teachers. Can be the different staff at the school, right? It can also be acquaintances. So maybe just people that you either, you run into at church or you run into in your neighborhood grocery store, people that are safe people and supportive, but they're maybe not meeting all of the different levels of needs, but they're there and they could help. The next level would be those that you're not as emotionally close with, or you're not as emotionally close with, but they're still helpful. So these are people that they're not acquaintances, but they're on that level of friends. And so there can be overlap, right? Maybe the teacher at school is someone that's become more of that second level and they're more of a support to you and your kids. This could look like family members that, they're able to offer some support. Maybe they're not who you're closest with, but they're still able to help you out as different things come up. It could be, a friend that is willing to let you stay with them if you ever needed it. Or maybe somebody in your life that's able to offer financial assistance if you were in some kind of emergency. And then this top tier is usually the smallest for most of us, and that's that really small portion of people that are those that we confide in the most and depend on the most for emotional support. So that can be ourselves, right? We can be our own support. We can help ourselves when we need to cope with difficult emotions or when we need help figuring out what steps to take. And then this also can be our significant others. And that varies for all of us, right? That can be family members or friends. There can be people that move up and down through these levels, right? Depending on how your relationship changes. But just wanted to give this graphic as just again another way of kind of thinking about, okay, visually, what does my support network look like? So part of today's webinar, we hope that it'll also be a chance to reevaluate your support system. And again, knowing that you can reach out for help if you are feeling like this is something that feels really overwhelming or really difficult. But a few questions that you could ask yourself as you're evaluating your support system is, whether you feel satisfied with the number of members in each part of your support network. So, thinking back to that previous slide, do you feel like that triangle is lining up, or do you feel like you need to add or remove people that are in those different sections? And that would kind of go into that next question, right? Do I need or do I want to add to my support system? Are my emotional needs being met? You may be in a situation where you have a support network of friends and family that are meeting your emotional needs, and you can answer that yes. Or you may be in a situation where saying, those in my support system aren't helping, and maybe I need to seek out counseling or therapy or somewhere else that can help meet those needs. Then another question to ask is, do I need or do I want to strengthen friendships in the top 2 tiers of my network? So maybe there's somebody that is in that kind of middle section, but who you recognize is somebody with those healthy traits, and who maybe you could deepen that friendship and they could become someone in your top tier if you're needing more supports up there. And then also, do I need to discover more possible supports in my community to build a better bottom tier support? And so again, recognizing with COVID, some of our support systems have felt like they've shrunken, but there's many agencies in our community that are offering services over telehealth or have even expanded or added new services. And so this can be a time to really take a little bit to say, okay, what are some of the needs I need, and who could I maybe reach out to that I hadn't ever previously reached out to? And that could look like a lot of different places and agencies, and our advocates at Genesis can be really helpful if you're trying to build that bottom tier and needing to discover more agencies that could help you with different needs, right? Whether that's financial, with your kids, with a job search. There's a lot of different places that can help you out and support you. Another way to think of your support system, and we're going to do an activity at the end with coping skills that will kind of relate to this, but is kind of thinking about the different things that you personally need. So this was just an example that I wrote up that I could share, but this is something you can maybe scribble out on a paper, think about, what kind of supports do you need? So one thing that's great about support systems is that we don't need to have, they're not just made up of one person that provides all our needs for us. We're able to have different people that can help us out in different ways. So someone to call, going through this circle, someone to call when you're feeling lonely may not be the same person that you would call when you need someone to just grab lunch or coffee with. Maybe you have a friend that's great to grab lunch with and just chat, but maybe they're not as helpful when you need to cry or talk things out. Maybe that's someone else. Also having someone who can help in a crisis. Maybe that's, not just knowing those numbers for the Genesis hotline or for the National Suicide Hotline. Those could be people that could help in a crisis. Someone who can help you with things you need, like watching the kids. Again, that might not be the same person as the person who you're grabbing lunch or coffee with, but they're still part of your support system. And, as you're maybe filling this out or evaluating this on your own, you may realize, well, it is really just one person meeting all these needs, and that can be a sign potentially to maybe consider what other supports you could bring in or who else could maybe help out. And then again, just with that idea of growing a support system, just asking some more questions. Maybe what types of support do I need? So we covered that on the slide before, but there may be even more that we didn't address, but that you've thought of for yourself. Also, are there any family supports I can strengthen? Maybe there are some healthy family members that previously haven't been super involved in your life, but that could offer support. Is there a specific community support I could utilize? We've covered that one a lot, but again, we feel like that can be underutilized and more helpful than we may even realize. It could also be evaluating, do I have some safe friends or neighbors that I could strengthen relationships with? And, recognizing that during this pandemic, maybe that means a phone call or just saying hi from a distance when you see your neighbor, but just recognizing there's safe people around you. And then also, could I be better supporting myself? And maybe that looks like taking more time to check in on your own emotional needs, that practice of self-care, right? Of recognizing what do I need right now and paying attention to ourselves and our needs. Also, we wanted to just address too that one challenge with the support system, right, can be maybe we know what supports are out there, but it's hard to ask for help. We just wanted to address a couple tips. This is taken from a wellness guide from odvn.org. It's another domestic violence agency. But just we want to point out first, right? It's very common to have trouble asking for help if you're a survivor of violence and abuse. You've had a relationship where it wasn't okay to ask for help, or maybe you were told that you were wrong, or you didn't deserve to have help, and those things simply aren't true. You do deserve to have a good support network, and you do deserve to have help. And it can also be helpful just to start small. Practice on safe people with simple requests when you're wanting to practice asking for help. So maybe that's as simple as if you're working with a therapist, it's just asking if you can end your session with like a coping skill that you choose of your choice. Simple things like that. Or it can be, a simple request with a friend or a family member, just to start practicing getting used to that. I'm also trying to ask for help before a problem becomes overwhelming. Typically, it's easier to ask for help right before we're already overwhelmed and we're feeling really out of our window of tolerance, or just feeling really like we don't know what to do. Sometimes if we can recognize, okay, I might need help and I'll ask for help now, that can help things be easier to cope with. And then again, we mentioned this on the first slide, but just remembering that we do need help from others as we heal and move forward. And we need those positive relationships to be able to heal. And we don't have to share anything you're not comfortable sharing right now. So that applies to any relationship, right? If you're feeling like someone's asking you to share more than you feel like that relationship is a safe one to share that much with, then that's okay to not share. It's okay to have that boundary and say, I don't feel comfortable talking about this right now. That can help us as we're determining who to ask for help and how to ask for help. And then also, it can feel awkward at first to ask for help. That's human emotion that most of us feel. And it does get easier. The more that we seek out and ask for help, those awkward feelings do decrease, and it gets easier. So just a last reminder as we're wrapping up that portion is just that you're not alone. There are supports out there, and your support network may look different than you expected or thought it would look like, but there are places and people that can help you out. And so we're going to end today. I'm going to have Victoria take over from here, and we're going to wrap up with a coping skill. So I'll let her explain that. And
Yes.
there you go. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Noelle. I also wanted to just reiterate again that we know the experience of domestic violence is so isolating, and it's very normal to feel lonely and feel alone, to feel that sense that you don't have as much support. And so I love that we were able to break down these different types of support and hopefully help you see that there are people and there are places and agencies and different types of support that you can reach out to help build your support system. I do also want to point out that we have groups at Genesis. That is one reason we have group counseling here, is because we know that support systems are so essential for that healing process. And so if you have not been a part of our groups at Genesis before, definitely give us a call, and we'd love to give you some more information about what our counseling groups look like and how we might be able to offer you that support. As you're also reflecting on your support system and thinking about these different things, as Noelle said, it is very normal to have these strong feelings and maybe to have some of these feelings of sadness. And I want you to remember to use your coping skills whenever you might be reflecting on these things, and to use coping skills, maybe journaling, for example, helping you journal about what's going on for you, kind of writing down your thoughts. That's even a way that you could help support yourself and kind of be a listener to yourself through that process of journaling. Or maybe it's positive affirmations and writing down some positive statements that you can remind yourself when you are feeling down, or maybe you're feeling like you don't deserve that support. Writing down some statements like, I deserve respect, or I deserve love, or I deserve to be treated kindly. Reminding yourself of those messages will help you as you are building your support system to help it feel more natural and to feel more like you deserve that. So we are going to do an activity today to kind of wrap up thinking about this support systems and kind of reflecting on our supports. So Noelle, you can go to the next slide. So Usually when I do this activity in groups, we do this, when we're doing this in person, I have people write this down and kind of draw this out, but we're just going to, go through this together. If you do have the option to write this down, if it's safe for you to maybe draw this little basketball court on a paper, or maybe, write this in a journal somewhere where you can keep private, I would really encourage you to do that. Or even as we're going through this activity, even just visualizing those people that we're going to go through. So I have my own little basketball court here on my paper. This is an activity to help you create your team. And to kind of help you think through all of these different support types and these supportive people in your life, and helping you identify who can be on your team. So the first step is to identify your starting lineup, I guess, your main 5 people that you can turn to for support for these different areas. So let's start at the top left there. That first player is someone that you can identify, that you can reach out to maybe when you're sad or when you are crying, somebody that can be there as a support to help you through that, sadness or crying episode. So, think about your life, think about somebody who can be there for you when you are having maybe some stronger emotions or feeling like you might need to cry. The next person is, we'll go to that love player. So somebody in your life that you can identify that brings love to you, or helps you feel loved, or is a loving person that can be on your supportive team. So thinking about your support system, who could this be for you? The next player to identify is somebody who can help you have fun, somebody, who can help you bring out that fun side of you, somebody that you feel safe to have fun around. So that is that next player on your team, somebody that you can have fun with. The next player, we'll go to kind of the top right of the court there. So somebody who can help bring you laughter, and somebody that you can laugh with. So thinking about your life, who is somebody that could be on your team that you can turn to for a good laugh? Or if you're feeling down, maybe, you spend time with or talk with this person, and that you're going to have some laughing involved. And then finally, somebody on your team that can help you feel hopeful, or somebody that helps you have those feelings of hope. As you're thinking about the support system, it's okay if you can't think of maybe specific people for these different team roles. So maybe this is other ways of coping in your life. So for example, laughter. I know that I can turn to The Office, a TV show, and I know that I'm going to laugh when I watch The Office. And so maybe that's my team player on my support team, is to watch a show that I know can make me laugh, or an activity where I know I'm going to have fun. So, for me, maybe that's that fun player on my team. Maybe that's me doing a craft or something like that, because I know that that's something that I will enjoy and have fun doing. It's also important, as you're thinking about your support team, to also think of some subs, some substitutes, some people or some skills that could kind of sub in if somebody isn't available, or if one of the players was not able to fulfill that support role, something else that could also be there for you. So again, maybe this is, different types of coping skills, maybe positive affirmations, like I was talking about. That's a coping skill that maybe helps me feel a lot of hope and a lot of love. So maybe that could be a replacement or a substitute if I couldn't find that with one of my support people. And then of course the coach is you. So that's important too, is to remember that you have that power and you have that ability to decide what's going to work for you, or who is going to be the best player for that moment for you. Maybe that means swapping out sometimes, when maybe one person that you thought was a supportive person, maybe you start to realize they were no longer a healthy support. And so you have that power to get to sub them out and to find something else that works for you. And then finally, the next other important player in this kind of team that we're thinking about is your encouragement section, your fan section. So thinking about groups and places that encourage you, or that provide that encouragement for you. We talked a lot about how Genesis, that could be a place of support and encouragement for you. So maybe it's Genesis counseling groups. That could be part of your fan section. Maybe this is your workplace. Maybe you feel safe at work and have supportive people at work. And so maybe your workplace could be part of your fan section and your encouragement section as well. So this could be community groups. It can be specific people or places too that you know that you can turn to for encouragement. Okay. So as you create your team and, think of all these people, reflect on your support network and try to find these people that you can fill in for these roles. Definitely we want you to include Genesis as a part of that, and also reach out to us if you're having difficulty with this. Like I said, our groups are support for you. And we really believe that those groups are really important in that healing process. So as you're reflecting on your support system and as you're thinking about your support team, we want you to also remember that Genesis can be a part of that too. So with that said, we'll kind of pull up our contact information here to wrap up. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this. We hope that this information was helpful for you as you are exploring your support system, reflecting on that, and also starting to make changes and start to see what works and who is the best, roles and who are the best players for you when you need them. So definitely feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is here. Noelle, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think the coping skill is great. Thank you for teaching us all about that and just giving us another way to kind of visualize and think about our teams. And yeah, again, just wanted to add with groups that we are offering groups online right now. They're all held over Zoom. And so if, after watching this, you aren't already receiving counseling services with us, but you are interested in being able to attend those, we would love to have you reach out. You can reach out to one of us or call that number that we provided at the beginning, the 214-389-7700, and you can connect with a counselor to start receiving counseling services with us. Yeah, thank you all for watching and have a great day.